This is EA Sports coverage of the PGA Tour. Frank, there really is nothing quite like it. The old course at St. Andrews, and you know the old course is old when the new course is 100 years old. You know you're in a place that is bathed in history.
Yeah, the fact that they can't really figure out who exactly designed the old course, it just evolved. And the true, if you look at a scorecard, the fact that you go out and in, it's designed purely around St. Andrews because 9 holes are out, then you turn around in the loop and come all the way back to the clubhouse. So the amazing thing is you actually can, if you get lucky, play 9 holes with the wind behind you, and if fortunately with the tide it turns, you can get 9 holes with the wind at your back as well.
Frank, this is such an historic, iconic spot. When you tee off for the first hole at the old course, you're nervous, you're intimidated, inspired?
All of the above. You realize you're about to set foot on one of the hallowed grounds of golf where every great player has played. And it looks like a relatively simple hole, out of bounds down the right, and then the Swilcan Burn starts to meander its way all the way down the right side and in front of that first green. So you'd like, especially if you're a little nervous, to have a nice full shot in for your second.
Frank, can you recall a situation where before an important round, an instructor gave you one small tweak, maybe flare your left toe out, or just shift a little bit of the weight onto the back foot, where the instructor gave you that one small bit of advice and it made a huge difference?
Yeah, the list is too long, Rich, and it's normally just someone that you've trusted over the years, and we all make just little bad habits. Sometimes you're stooped over a little bit more than normal. You're not standing tall enough. The ball is too far back in your stance or too far forward. You're making a funny little move or your grip is different. It's always the little things that add up to the big problem. Oh, it's perfect. That is a huge opening tee shot.
Frank, on the second shot here at this first hole, a player will get a good sense of the winds here and how they can play a role at the old course.
And they'll also get a good sense of exactly how punishing this golf course can be, and with such the smallest things. For example, that burn is only about 3 or 4 yards across, and yet it is punishing, to say the least.
On the green, no chance for birdie here in the first hole. -1 in the early going. Trying to get the round off to a good start. Frank, we're at the second hole, and what's ahead?
Well, the ideal tee shot, just a little over that gorse bush in front of you, which is down the right side. That's the best angle in, but it also brings in a little bit of trouble. But if that pin is anywhere towards the middle of this double green, then really you want to be coming in from the right side. Tom Weiskopf was one of my idols growing up. I loved the way he swung. That swing right there reminds me of my idol.
It looks like Rory McIlroy, Frank, sticking the follow-through. That is tasty looking right there, Frank. Just a perfect spot in the fairway.
That is prime real estate. How do you get a lie like that? Seriously, you could hit any club from there.
That should be pretty good right there. On the safe side. That was a solid strike and a good result. Been pretty good all day from this distance, just trying to take care of business. Just like that, now at 2 under. On the tee box here at the third now. Frank, all of these holes look relatively straightforward. Can a golfer get lured in a kind of a false sense of security off the tee here at the old course?
No, well, you can. This hole, the third hole, even shorter than the second, so reachable. But a lot of people tend to bail out towards the left. That's the middle of the golf course. And that leaves you a devilish little pitch or short wedge across that big gaping bunker that protects both the third and the 15th green. So once again, want to drive the ball down the right side, but there's a series of pot bunkers there.
I mean, that is a sight to behold. What a spectacular shot we just saw on the par 4 with a drive in 1. That, Frank, what a putt.
I didn't go that far and hold it.
Frank, putting such a crucial part of the game. That's where you make your score.
Everybody sees a putt differently. Some people like to putt to a spot. Some people imagine the whole line. But one thing that they both look at is where the ball will go into the hole. In other words, a right to left putt won't go in the front. It'll go in the right side.
Frank, such an advantage when you can hit that far.
It's not fair.
Has only 90 yards here. That will be a great look at birdie. Shouldn't be a problem here. Continues to amaze. Yet another birdie. And what a day it's been. Chance here at the par 5 fifth, Frank, to make a little move early in the round.
Yeah, it's certainly eagles galore. The fifth hole is one of the biggest greens on the golf course, shared with the 13th. So good tee shot, and you have a nice big target, even though it's a blind second shot coming up.
Well, this one has a chance to be really good. Yeah, about 150 yards left here, Frank.
safely on deck.
Well, that's how you play the game, right there. Locked in on the read and the speed. So with that make, now it's 7 under par. Now to the 374-yard par 4/6, another scoring opportunity.
Hey, just be very careful of the wind conditions here because that'll affect the strategy off the tee, but bunkers left and right to be avoided.
Paying attention like a little kid at school, Frank. That baby's sitting up.
Sitting up. It's got the best view as well. You don't even need binoculars from where that ball is.
She is putting the full arsenal of her skill set on display this afternoon. Beautiful shot. She continues to play well. This is for her birdie. 8 is not enough. That is 8 under par with that birdie. Now, 7th hole here at the old course, Frank.
Ideal line, just hit your tee shot over the march stone. The bunker on the 11th green actually often comes into play, called the shell bunker. So anything a little bit right of that, but very difficult green for the approach shot coming up.
That is just an outstanding shot right there. And now a chance for an eagle. These putts keep the round together. The eagle has landed. Wow. Standing on the tee at the par 3/8 here at the old course. And Frank, what are we looking at here?
One of the biggest greens on the golf course. It looks flat, it looks like it's easy, but once that flag gets on the left side, this is when the hole becomes a little bit more difficult. It's very easy to take this hole for granted. Very hard to hit it close, though.
Well, this one should be safely on deck here. That's a solid shot here into the 8th hole, and a good chance now for another birdie. And getting ready for the putt. Well, the great hits just keep coming. Moves to -11 on the day. Always so important to finish your first 9 holes on a positive note here at the Open Championship.
Yeah, the 9th hole, this is the most extreme part, furthest away from the clubhouse, in the middle of the loop here. A good drive, though, that avoids those bunkers has every chance of finding this par 4 with your tee shot.
Pretty good drive here.
Another straight one. That's an absolute beauty.
It is a windy day out here, Frank. My hat just blew off. This is going to affect the players' shots, that's for sure. Just a superb shot.
You're not going to see much better than that all day today.
Could really use this one. It's for birdie. Just an amazing display. The records continue to fall. Well, that was a nearly flawless performance on the front side, but Frank, we know it's an 18-hole game, isn't it?
That's right. Now's not the time to pat yourself on the back.
That appeared to be a good strike right there, Frank.
Oh, good. It's just towering. Look at that, hanging in the sky.
That was just a gutsy shot right there, and a good look at eagle coming up.
It's at sneaky distance.
Oh, hello there. Really nice putt. Down to the par 3 11th, and Frank, what's the key here?
Well, this green is slightly elevated. Huge false front, sort of left and right of that Strath bunker. And, of course, that bunker on the hill, or should I say that bunker on the left is called Hill. That's the famous bunker where Bobby Jones couldn't get out of it many years ago and actually ripped up his scorecard. So a good tee shot here, just find that right level where the flag is.
Terrific golf shot. And now that for an easy birdie.
Second shot.
15 under for the day. Frank, the charm of St. Andrews, the history of the old course, it all sort of comes into view here at the 12th, doesn't it?
Yeah, very pretty hole. Eden Estuary to the right. Obviously a nice view of the township of St. Andrews in the distance. But long hitters can just lick their chops and have a crack at this green. All they've got to do is worry about that little pot bunker short. But either into the breeze, or if you're not a long hitter, you've got to worry about those 4 bunkers that are well placed smack bang in the middle of this fairway.
Frank, looking at that shallow rear shelf here at the 12th, it looks as though it just sort of runs away on all sides.
It does. There's such a small piece in that top high portion. Chances of getting it on the right level, you have to be very, very precise.
On the green, and looking at a birdie opportunity. This one just requires a little bit of focus. And go ahead and do that for birdie. Here at the par 4 13th hole at the old course, Frank, what's the best play, power, or do you go with precision?
Well, you'd like a nice mixture of both there, Rich. If you can take those coffins out of play, that's the name for those series of bunkers sort of down the middle, then obviously you've got a much shorter shot coming in, and then you've got a chance to actually have a full view of the screen.
Nicely played shot, about 310 yards down the fairway. Second shot, good look at the green. This could be a good one. Superb shot.
It's as good as it's going to get. There's going to be no worries about making that one.
She's played some solid golf today. See if she can keep it going with another birdie. That's how you keep a round going, make them from that distance. Frank, the 14th is a big par 5, chance to make a big move, but also possibility of making a big number if you're not careful.
Yeah, you've got to be very aware of the out of bounds on the right side, even though it does move to the right. Ideal tee shot is down the right side that gets very close to that, because then that opens up the second shot and keeps that tee shot away from that crop of bunkers called the birdies. There's a big cross bunker up ahead that has to be avoided for the second shot. If you're long enough, you can reach this par 5 and 2, but this green with so many undulations that it is anything other than flat.
Straightforward pitch shot here, 35 yards. Frank, you've been around this game for a pretty long time. Are players, in fact, more athletic today than they were, say, 20, 25 years ago?
There's no question, Rich, they are. That we've borrowed from other sports. If you can't make the player better, you can make them more athletic. And in the end, you're still making the golfer better.
Frank, you think she can make another birdie here?
Oh, I think so, Rich. These are the moments you dream for. Got a string of them so far. And one more keeps the run going.
Back here at the 15th, and Frank, this fairway narrows up in a hurry.
And it's also, there's a big crop of heather that sort of constrains you if you're going to hit it just straight down the middle. Only the brave go down the right side. Brings in those little bunkers called robs. And they'll rob your scorecard, that's for sure.
That ball's run out certainly over 300 yards, Frank. Call it about 310. This, the second shot here at the par 4. Seems to like it. Looks like it's headed for the green. That will be a great look at birdie. Standing over this putt, concentrating on the read. Continues to amaze. Yet another birdie, and what a day it's been. Frank, the 16th hole, there was a time in my life when I was in 4th grade, I would have really enjoyed hitting the principal's nose. But that's not a good thing here?
Well, I'd like to think you graduated past 4th grade, but and if you did, then you'd be very aware of the principal's nose. You'd hit it left, it'd be a little longer into your second shot.
That was just a beautiful drive. You hit it solid and right in the middle. And this attempt will be from about 130 yards. That is classy.
They had a chance of going in.
Just a couple of feet. It is in the hole for a birdie. The famous 17th at the Open Championship, Frank, you begin to see the scoreboards, the grandstands, and you know all eyes are on you for the next couple of holes.
Yeah, this is one hole I think that anybody that goes to the old course certainly wants to play. Blind tee shot. You've got to flash it across the out of bounds and somehow find the fairway. If you go too safe down the left side, well, there's some heather to be chopping out of. Good tee shot certainly gives you a chance to hit it this beautiful green that's angled to the left, well protected by the road hole bunker. And if you're a little ambitious and a little strong, then there's a road itself and an out of bounds beyond this green.
So a chance for birdie after another solid approach shot. Well, Frank, we've heard of lucky sevens. Nothing lucky about this run. This has been spectacular.
Just pure genius out there at the moment. This is something to watch. So, fingers crossed, 7 in a row. Good read, good line, well played.
Frank, the 18th hole at the old course, when you stand on the tee, it doesn't look like much. But when you begin to factor in all the history, all the greats who have played, well, then it is quite the hole.
It certainly is. Remember the great putts like Constantina Rock and making it from the front to try and get in a playoff with John Daly. Jack Nicklaus driving the green. It's all been made possible by the ambitious player here. You've got to swing it across the Swilken Burn, out of bounds on the right and beyond the screen, but it is reachable. But the mere mortals, they'll aim a little left. They'll aim at the clock face on the R&A building.
Good swing, good shot yet again. Well, that is an exceptional shot on the green and in position for a birdie.
Yeah, it's a formality now.
Locked in on the read and the speed. Okay, no problem with that one. Frank, just some great golf here today.
Yeah, that's a round to remember. Not often you play that well and you feel like you were head and shoulders above the rest of the field.
What a thrill to watch. And for Frank Nobilo